Hello, hello. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and this is the ohmTown Daily News Show for September 10th, 2022. So, as is usual for all of the shows, what is ohmTown? ohmTown is a news aggregator. It reaches out, collects news from various news sources, of which I review and vet and decide, I think that it's good enough to add to the ohmTown Daily News Show and to ohmTown.com. ohmTown.com and its aggregating wisdom throws things into six main categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. And in those, there are about 50 channels that I have publicly activated. Not all of them actually active. Then I go through it, and every 24 hours, I select about 10 articles and throw them up here, and we talk about them. If you are getting this from the podcast, for the last 4 episodes, I didn't put the show notes. I asked a question. Do you want the show notes or do you just want the discussion? I don't know what people are going to say. We'll see. Um, I don't advertise. I'm not extremely popular. Every once in a while, there are people in my chat. I know that it's being downloaded. Not many comments. Not in chat. I mean, like the podcast doesn't have many comments and or reports or anything. Anybody saying that there's displeasure or hey, I really would rather you talk about this, or hey, I don't really care one way or the other. And I definitely don't know what I don't know. So feel free to download the podcast. Let me know if anything in there is something of interest or not. I wonder. Okay, there we go. So I don't know really if the show notes even matter. So I am posting them into the stream itself over on YouTube and on Twitch. They can be observed there, and um, they'll be included in the podcast if people are interested in it. Otherwise, I'm going to be pivoting a little bit and throwing the show notes as a link over to ohmTown.com. That's in the future. I haven't done it yet. Let's get into the news. So the first article is over in the Word in Tech channel, and it's Apple's latest iPad mini is $100 off over at Amazon and Best Buy. So I was hoping that there was going to be a new uh, iPad mini because I really want an iPad mini. I have an iPad Pro. The rest of the family has an iPad of one version or another. Actually, they're all in the latest iPad Airs, I think. But the iPad mini is actually much more easily ported from one place to another. And since I scribble notes and draw sketches for people, it's easier for me to carry that around. So at $100 off, when I found out about it, I said, hey, I'll include it in the shoe. Maybe somebody else will benefit from it. Earlier today, my power went out, and the home pods in the house really don't like it when the power goes out. They go all kinds of wonky, and I don't get it. Every time the power goes out, and now I'm making it sound like the power goes out with the frequency of a cheap ham radio, but at any rate, yeah, the power went out and messed up my home pods. So I have to reboot everything. Um, the the iPad Mini will use the Apple Pencil, has cellular service if you so choose, for about $100 more, and it's pretty speedy, but it's not the M1. I was really hoping that Apple was going to drop a new M1, but they didn't. Kind of bummed. But I had just updated, so I guess I'm thankful that they didn't and bummed that they didn't at the same time. Um, Okay, so this article is over at TheVerge.com. Alice Newcomb Beale is the author of this article about the iPad mini being $100 off. And that's how I came to know about it's over at Amazon and Best Buy. I thought that was pretty interesting because it's cheaper than even the academic pricing from Apple itself for the latest version. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. Hopefully, it's not a refurb version mislabeled as a full new, unopened, non renewed version of it. Let's move on. The next article is over in the continuity report. There's a lot of Disney stuff in today's news. A lot of information came out of D23. So Snow White remake reveals first look at Rachel Ziegler or Ziegler as the Disney princess at D23. Magic Mirror on the Wall, who's the fairest of them all? Fans were treated to the first look at Disney's live action Snow White remake at the D23 Expo on Friday, revealing Rachel Ziegler in the role of the first ever Disney princess. Let's click this. So this is over at variety.com. Wilson Chapman is the author. And I haven't seen this yet. Ziegler and Gal Gadot were on hand to tease the film. Snow White dons her signature costume in the footage, which ends with her dropping the poisoned apple. Ziegler said that they didn't even see it, didn't see what you guys saw, quote unquote. There's such an emphasis on what it meant to be the fairest of them all, she later said, referring to the movie's opening line. And then Godot said, it was very different from anything she'd ever done before. They're used to playing the other end of where the heart should be. All right. Not sure what that means. Anyway, a musical retelling of the famous Brothers Grimm fairy tale, the live-action Snow White, is based closely on 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Disney's first feature film, and the world's first full-length animated movie. As in the original pick, the story focuses on Ziegler's Snow White, a beautiful young princess orphaned at a young age and living with her cruel stepmother, the Queen, who is played by Godot. Interesting. So I'm going to have to go and check it out. There's a bunch more information over at variety.com. I'm sure this is over on YouTube as well. So we'll go over and check it out after the show. The next article is in the continuity report as well. And this one was interesting. I didn't even know that this was going to happen. It's pretty cool. I love animation. I love sci-fi. Merging it together into something might be really cool. I have no idea about what the context of this is. As is always the case, I don't read the articles before the show. I want my reaction to be the one that you actually see, and your reaction probably, maybe, might be similar. I don't know. America Ferrera from Ugly Betty and Superstore. I know her more from Ugly Betty than Superstore. Will star in Elio. It might be pronounced Elio. I haven't seen even a snippet of this. An upcoming science fiction animated movie set to be released by Pixar and pardon me. In spring 2024, it's set to be released by Pixar. The movie was announced during D23's Expo presentation on Friday. Elios tells the story of the titular 11-year-old boy who is struggling to fit in until he finally gets probably transported somewhere. Let's find out. Wilson Chapman is the author of this article over at variety.com. And my snippet just kind of like got cut off. So let's see. 11-year-old that gets beamed up by aliens and is chosen to be the galactic ambassador of Earth. Well, this will be interesting. Ferreira voices Olga, Elio's mother, who's working on a top secret project to decode alien messages. Jonas Kilbrebe might be pronounced that way. I'm not sure. Voices the titular character. They like titular, apparently. Titular everywhere. In the snippet, right here in this first paragraph, titular. Ferrer is best known for her Emmy-winning role as Betty Suarez in Ugly Betty. In addition, she starred from 2015 to 2021 in the critically acclaimed NBC sitcom Superstore, and also directed several episodes and co-produced. Yep. So it says here, Elio is one of several projects teased by the company during Friday animation panel. In addition, the company also revealed footage of Elemental, an upcoming film directed by Peter Sohn about people living in a city who are made out of the four elements. Well, fire and water might be hard to get along with, right? Together, things will get steamy. Sorry, had to say it. Emotional issues portrayed as steam when those two argue, and mud when water and earth. I'm not sure how it'll all play out. Anyway, we know that maybe there's going to be a lot of hot air floating around. I could go on. Probably shouldn't. The next one's in the continuity report. It's the weekend, and I thought that maybe I'd throw some movie stuff, entertainment stuff our way. I was hoping to do like startup stuff on Saturdays, but my aggregator doesn't get that much. So, and there isn't that much news always out there. But I'm going to work on it, try and get the aggregator to focus some energy on getting some news about the business startup sector. I'm interested in it. I used to be in it, but at any rate, this next article is in the continuity report. Inside Out 2 is coming summer of 2024 with Amy Poehler returning. One of Pixar's most acclaimed films is getting a sequel. Inside Out 2 is in the works from director Kelsey Mann. And it was announced at D23 Expo on Friday as well. So that's where all this news is coming from. We'll click the link, take us over to variety.com again. Wilson Chapman, once again. I don't read all of the article, by the way, to you. So I encourage you. That's why I provide the links. You can go through ohmTown and get to the rest of the world, at least the rest of the internet. And so I kind of highlight a little bit, give my opinion on things. Inside Out, the original Inside Out was amazing. I really, I don't know, love the voice acting, the animation, the storytelling, the world building. It's a pretty neat concept of, you know, kind of embodying how things could work if you could imagine how the biological processes of being a human being could work in an animated world where it's sentient within your sentience. It's quite fascinating. A lot of fun. You know, there are people out there that have gotten their doctorates based on stories within storytelling, like comic books, graphic novels. Let me correct myself there, animation, and so on. So I'm surprised that there isn't something from Inside Out, because that's a very interesting sociological example there. So, released in 2015, the original Inside Out imagined a world where people have five core personified emotions: joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust, guiding their thoughts and actions through everyday life. The film zeroed in on the emotions of Riley, a middle schooler struggling to adapt to her family's move from Minnesota to San Francisco, which I would think would be pretty cool. So the animated movie will feature new emotions and follow Riley as a teenager. We'll see how it plays out. I know from conversations that I've either witnessed or been engaged in online, people are kind of burnt out with things being, well, the orange being squeezed for every single possible drip of juice. And if it doesn't play out right, the backlash is pretty loud and angry online. I just enjoy movies for being movies, a moment of time from the rest of reality where I'm putting out fires constantly and dealing with several thousand people at a time. Yeah. So watching a movie is more purely for entertainment and not for something grandiose beyond it. I'm not looking for deeper meaning unless I intend to. And I try not to. I just want to have a good time watching stuff. Let's move on to the next article. The continuity report as well. A reboot of the never-ending story may soon be on its way. And there's more movie news in this link. Oh, pardon me. There's more movie news in this link, but I probably won't go through all of it. I'll just kind of let you go over there and check it out. Again, it's in the show notes. So if you're listening to this via the podcast, there's going to be a link asking. Well, there's not a link right now. It's just a question. Do you want the show notes? Does it make a difference in your existence? Other shows that I've listened to, it's hit or miss if they have links. I just figured, why weigh it down with a bunch of links? Because when you actually click on a link inside the podcast, it opens up a page on top of the podcast on iTunes. Honestly, I haven't looked on Android, but if it opens up a tiny little page to a link on a website, and it's like an iframe sitting on top. If you don't know what an iframe is, I'm sorry. But it's kind of like having a smaller version of your browser sitting on top of the wider expanse of the podcast interface. And it's not a very good experience. I don't know why they don't give you an option to pop out entirely to your browser, but it doesn't appear to happen. At any rate, so if you don't like the show notes, if you don't need the show notes, then I just won't leave them there. I'll just leave one link that sends you off to ohmTown. Just reiterating that. Let's click this link. So if you've never heard of Never Ending Story, we'll get into it here. Peter Farrelly returns to comedy with John Cena and Zac Efron. Efron, sorry, there's inflections here, and I'm trying to rush. And the project for Benedict Cumberbatch and Anna Kendrick and Nicolas Cage, among others. That's what all of this is about. But I'm just going to get to this first one. A reboot of the Neverending Story may be on its way. And if you've never heard of Neverending Story, other than maybe a few little tidbits like the Luck Dragon, it's from the 80s. And it's one of those things, it says here, continues to be the most nostalgized of the 20th century. And one source for much of the 80s nostalgia has been the hit Netflix TV show. Sorry, the Netflix show, Stranger Things. And it has a fresh rating of 91. They want to let me know here at RottenTomatoes.com, which ended its third season in 2019 with a stirring cover of the theme song from the 1984 film, The Never-Ending Story, which really is, it was just a theme song of the Never-Ending Story. The nostalgia for the Never-Ending Story appears to be culminating in a bidding war among several unnamed studios and streamers in both the USA and Europe. The rights being sought are for the original 1979 fantasy novel by German author Michael Ende. It might be Ende, I'm not sure. I think it's just Ende. Which is, in its original publication, was titled, I'm going to try it, Die Unendliche Geschichte. I think. I can't pronounce that last part. Geschichte? Yeah. My German is horrible. Literally worse than a 4-year-old's. An American 4-year-old's who's never heard German. Anyway, the 1984 film only adapted the first half of the book, which I didn't know until reading that, which is amazing because there was almost an entire, well, it has an interesting ending. So now I'm really curious what that first half really was. What did it ended, but it ended. So maybe it's the recovery of the never ending story world that it encompasses. Really interesting. Um, so it could easily be expanded into at least two films, if not more, according to this article. Um, and Atreyu and the Luck Dragon and various characters throughout it. It is a live action film. And, honestly, I think it was an amazing story. It was a lot of fun to watch when I was much younger. And as an adult, I think that I could probably appreciate the story, the mechanics, how it is, uh, how the how the storybook world building takes place, and maybe find some additional meaning in there. Um, if I so choose to dig deeper, peel back layers of onion. It says in the past, a reboot of it was reportedly considered by Warner Brothers, which distributed the original film. But I'm sure there are people out there that are really screaming that we are squeezing that orange again for the never ending story, and that it doesn't necessarily need, well, that it doesn't need to be remade. But after 30 years, 40 years, if you really push it to the beginning of the 80s, the technology, the personalities, the embodiment of the writing could be so much better that why not give it a chance and let it flame out if it's going to flame out? Why have the outrage before the outrage needs to be leveraged, if it even needs to be? It's a movie. It doesn't change your perspective in any real way unless you allow it. And a remake doesn't ruin your perspective of it unless you allow it. Again, you are in charge of the way that you feel about things. So why make it so why allow it to make you upset because it gets remade and it's horrible? It could be the best damn thing you've ever seen. Because after 40 years, let's say you watched it back when it was first released, your worldview has changed. Your perspective has changed. You have kids now that you can appreciate it, both the new one and the old one. And I can bet that your child is going to appreciate it a whole lot more than you, and in a different context. So give it a chance. The rest of this news on this page, go and check it out. Just follow the link through ohmTown. Here's another awesome one. I can't wait for this to drop. The first one, Hocus Pocus, the original Hocus Pocus. I loved it then. I still love it now. I do have one issue with it because out of the entirety of that movie, it never really goes into why they start the world building and then they say that a virgin has to light the black flame candle to bring them back. And you wonder, as an adult, with family, with friends and family that have family, why in the world would you drop something as um, adult in discussion at the beginning of a film and then never address it in any way where it has any meaning, and goes so far as to just plop it out there? And I can tell you from experience that you get asked a question and have to explain it. Now, I have no problem explaining things, but why? Well, we'll see what happens with Hocus Pocus 2 if they do something goofy like that again. But now it's firmly in a Disney camp, so I really think that it's going to be pulled back a little bit in that one element. I don't think it'll be brought up again. But I'm surprised that it was ever brought up in the original Hocus Pocus. We still watch the film periodically. Disney has released the official trailer for Hocus Pocus 2, in which the Sanderson sisters will once again put a spell on you. The same Sanderson sisters, by the way. The new trailer debuted at the D23 Expo with an introduction from Disney chairman Alan Bergman. Let's click the link. Michaela Z. That's an awesome name, too. Over at Variety.com writes this article. It's a film that exists thanks to the overwhelming love all of you have here for the Sanderson sisters. Yeah, you know they're evil, right? I don't know about love. Anyway, Bailey shared before reintroducing the crowd to a cute produced video hello from the sisters themselves. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, and Doug Jones are reprising their roles from the original 1993 film, and a bunch of others also star in the sequel, along with Drag Race Queens Ginger Minge, Kimora Hall, and Cornbread, quote, the snack, Jeté. Cornbread. All right. All right. Waddingham's role was revealed to be the witch who gives young Bette Midler the Book of Magic, thus revealing a 370-year-old secret as to how the Sanderson sisters became magical. And it really kind of, when I first saw this, and I saw this before this article, obviously, when I first saw the trailer, and there's the trailer. Oh, before I get into that, okay, so you know by now that I practice associative thinking. So something will pop up into my head that's tied to something else. And in this particular instance, I've said it before that I got not a strike, but a DMCA notice that one of my stream videos included something, which was a trailer, but it was a trailer from Netflix. And it was automated, and I could have fought it and wrote, well, it's just this, and we talked about it, right? But there's another person that had 1.2 million views on their video, and they wholesale streamed a video and paused it periodically and talked about it. It's a reaction video, and it's just a horrible reaction video, you know? I mean, it's so uninformative, but people paid like attention to it 1.2 million times since April. And I'm just kind of shocked. You know, did they end up having to fight a takedown notice, or at least a notice saying that you either uh, demonetize or we take the monetization and you have to cut out the piece? I don't know. I don't know the mechanics of this, you know, and believe me, I mean, I've been around the block. I know about law, copyright, intellectual property. I know about business mechanics and processes, but this is still mind-bogglingly uh, a kind of abusive, that you can stop something wholesale from being viewed, even though it's opinion and it's all automated and not a human, but a human has to remedy it. I just don't get it. By the way, to defend a copyright, to defend a trademark, to defend yourself in business, it's supposed to be the business finding these things and stemming it through litigation, not not just automation blindly flagging things that have fair use implications. So like if I violate a trademark, the company is supposed to come after me. But there is no company coming after me. It's an automated system that just happened to apparently catch either the video representation or the audio um, replay, the sync of that little tiny. It was smaller than that, the trailer that I played. So if I click that, I'll probably end up with and it was on YouTube as well. So it'll probably result in a takedown notice. Shocking, right? Just a regular Joe streaming. Anyway, when I first saw this, there used to be a show called Just Add Magic on Prime, and the family would watch that because it was a lot of fun, very innocent, very kind of just inclusive, and um, talked about issues and things like that, but nothing big, right? I don't think they ever dropped the phrase, well, the candle has to be lit by a virgin. Again, I'm not really complaining about it. I'm just talking about it. But at any rate, Hocus Pocus 2, the introduction was a blast, and I can't wait for it to drop on September 30th over on Disney Plus. So it's going to be exclusively on Disney Plus. I think that it should have been dropped sooner or later. It should be dropped in October, closer to Halloween. That's when most people watch Hocus Pocus, I think. Let's go on to the next article. Over in the Warcrafters channel, official Steam Deck repair centers are now open. If you are damaging your Steam Deck, Valve delivered good news today for Steam Deck owners who aren't sure what they'll do if they end up breaking their precious portable gaming machines. You can now send it off to a Steam Deck repair center. If you encounter an issue and need to send your Steam Deck in for repairs or replacement, devices will now go to one of their repair centers. Once there, the team will diagnose the device, repair it if needed, then ship you a fixed unit. And repairs for issues covered by warranty are free of charge. If a Steam Deck comes in that's not covered by warranty, this team will reach out and say, hey, this is how much it'll cost, and if a repair is possible. And the out-of-warranty repair service is completely optional, and you can ask for your device back if you prefer. Let's click this link. It takes us over to PCGamer.com. Andy Chalk is the author. And I thought that it was really interesting when I scrolled up just now, and I noticed that what it looks like is one of the joystick controller pads, right? Or the joystick itself. I think that's what that is, right? Let me see if I can find. Oh, I don't know. I don't see. They don't have many pictures on their site. This is an insider. So, those joysticks, you get drift because whatever the physics are in here, eventually what happens is it wears down and it starts leaning to one side and you get drift. Either wholesale, it's standing vertical, but the internal mechanisms are drifting off to one side, so your character drifts, or the joystick itself is physically out of alignment because of some flaw in the mechanics and it's drifting, right? And there's apparently some joysticks out there now where you can just remove and plop another module in, and it's user serviceable without having to tear all kinds of stuff apart. I mean, it's not a Gordian knot of electronics and plastic and wiring, uh, and whatever else, glue and the souls of people who are holding it together. I don't know how does it all work, but anyway, it's really damn hard to replace some electronics and mechanics. And I've done certain things on certain electronics, certain equipment, but it could be easier. If made just like a 2 millimeters bulkier, it makes life so much easier for the end user, but no, that's not what we get. Well, I wonder what's going to go on with Steam Deck if their controller elements will suffer from drift. I don't know. I don't have one. I have a Switch, but I don't have a Steam Deck. I like using 27-inch displays, not 2.7-inch displays. I know they're bigger. I'm just being a big jerk. Let's go on to the next article. So this is a rundown. This is over in Hatch Ideas. Everything we learned at D23 Expo's Pixar and Walt Disney Animation panel. And it's going to rehash some of the things that I said, but it's from a different perspective. CNBC's uh, Sarah Whitten. Disney announced content from its Pixar and Walt Disney Animation Studios, as well as live action projects based on Disney IP during the D23 Expo in Anaheim, California. Wish is a Disney Animation's 23 feature film, and it explores how the dreaming star, upon which so many Disney characters have wished upon, came to be. And Pixar will release a number of film and TV series in theaters and on Disney Plus, including Elio, Win or Lose, and Elemental. That's pretty much the sum of this article, but it goes into, as usual, a little bit deeper. Disney has exacerbated this issue, which is, it says here, at first parents were reticent to bring kids back to cinemas, but now it seems that lackluster titles and an increase in children's content on streaming have contributed to keeping families at home, and Disney has exacerbated this issue since movie theaters reopened, as it has placed the majority of its new Pixar films on Disney Plus, including Turning Red, Soul, Luca. While these decisions were made at a time when vaccinations were either not available to children and movie-going foot traffic was slow, it trained consumers to expect these titles on streaming. It's part of the reason that Lightyear had a lackluster opening in theaters this summer. Really, though, you know why Lightyear had a lackluster opening? It's because I think it was misperceived as being a valuable IP. It may have been great with Toy Story stuff, but it was the ensemble that Lightyear became pertinent, right? But this movie, Lightyear, had zero tie-in to anything else IP. It was a world that was built around Lightyear, and uh, it had nothing to it that made people want to go to it. Why in the world did Lightyear even exist as an embodiment of anything? Because it wasn't anything, right? Like everything in Toy Story had some type of connection to each other in that storybook world. But Lightyear was nothing. It was a character pulled out of Toy Story, put into a world, a universe, an animated universe that was all onto its own, not a storybook world. It was a sci-fi universe built around Lightyear to give Lightyear purpose. So there wasn't anything there. Why wouldn't anybody go and see this other than, hey, cool, another animated movie? And it got that level of interest. People kind of stumbling in from the bar drunk going, I'm going to watch Lightyear because it's on at 2:00 in the morning. Could just be me. I don't know. So there's a bunch of other stuff here. Pete Docter, the chief creative officer of Pixar, took the stage at D23 Expo to announce new titles: Elemental, Win or Lose, Elio, Inside Out. It says here, Disney Animation chief creative officer of Walt Disney Animation Studios announced several new projects from the studio to start. Lee said, Zootopia Plus will arrive in November. I'm just going to let that hang out there. Zootopia Plus? The show is a series of shorts following major characters from the 2016 film. Disney's partnering with, is it Kugali Media, to bring Iwaju to Disney Plus. The series is set in Nigeria and follows a young heiress named Tola and a poor boy named, it might be pronounced Kole. And it arrives on the streaming service in 2023. Stranger Worlds arrives in Thanksgiving 2022. It was a trailer. family of explorers rely on each other. It's kind of like what is it? Oh, what is that movie? Lost in Space. There you go. The series, Lost in Space. It was a TV show and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, Strange Worlds. Dangerously close to Strange New Worlds. But hey, it's Disney. Nobody's going to go after you saying, hey, you're really close to Strange New Worlds with Strange Worlds. That's kind of like walking up to the bully and saying, you're ugly. Wish I already talked about. And I guess they're going to lean into the live action stuff. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there's a Little Mermaid live action. I don't know. To me, there's elements of Uncanny Valley kind of popping up, but I will cope. I'm really curious what's going to happen. Haunted Mansion is slated to arrive in theaters March 10th, 2023. That should just linger. Just leave that for Halloween, or pull it to 2022 Halloween. I mean, something. We need more Halloween stuff. Haunted Mansion is slated to arrive in theaters March 10th, 2023, directed by Justin Seaman. Yeah, Simeon. Sorry, Simeon. A former Disneyland cast member. The film is filled with Easter eggs culled from the famous Disney park ride. During the panel, Simeon announced that Jamie Lee Curtis will star as Madame Leota in the film. And there's a bunch more. Snow White, Mufasa, The Lion King, etc., etc. Well, there is no etc. there. There's more. Anyway, go over and check it out. The next article is over in the Aerith channel. Aerith is really about Storybook world building. This got aggregated from RPG Fan, so that's where it got filed. Let me throw that into. I'm gonna have to look back at this. I've been witnessing like my video stalls for a split second, and I haven't been able to figure out what it is, except that my GPU utility there, I have a utility that's monitoring it, and I see it dip, but we don't know why. We being me and my multiple personalities. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the animated spin-off of Cyberpunk 2077, goes live on Netflix September 13th. The 10 episodes of the standalone series will each run 30 minutes and will be available all at once for binge watching. I'll be there. It is not safe for work, as far as I know. They state that as much for the trailer, but the trailer is kind of jam-packed with elements of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and so you can pretty much count on Edge Runners being not safe for work. Let's click the link. Takes us over to rpgfan.com, and Tin Manuel is the author. Let's see here. Is there something else in here? I'm not sure if this is me scrolling. It's a risky click here. To bring the story to life, CD Projekt Red partnered with renowned Japanese animation studio Trigger. Popular shows like Kill la Kill, Promare, Little Witch Academia. You can check out their previous articles on the official trailer and the team behind Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Just know that it's coming to Netflix on September 13th. I can't play any videos because Netflix will get all testy about it. Come on, Netflix. You need all the talk out there. You need everybody hyping you up. Don't sit there and lay the smackdown on me. I just get snippy. Impotent to cause any problems, and I'll remove your stuff from my stream, but still, whatever. Tesla gave us Tech on Wheels. How come it forgot to include service centers? The first thing one learns when purchasing a Tesla, as a columnist did in December 2020, is that neighbors immediately began to hold one personally responsible for Elon Musk. The co-founder and now supreme leader of the company is, one finds, widely regarded as by non-techies as a fruitcake with a bad Twitter habit. Not just non-techies there, bub. Pretty much a lot of people, anybody who isn't a fan, directly a fanboy of Elon Musk, pretty much thinks that he's a fruitcake with a bad Twitter habit. And by fruitcake, we mean sociopathic. So it follows that anyone who buys one of their car, the Tesla, is a devotee of the world's richest nutter and therefore not properly earthed. That's a nice turn of phrase. Anyway, this article is over at The Guardian. It says apparently by John Naughton, and there's a little oh, it's over there. So there's a little profile pic of him, and based on what I just read, that's exactly what I thought the author would look like. So Elon Musk was scorned when he set up Tesla, but his tech approach to electric vehicles has triumphed. However, when it comes to aftercare, the model's not so great. Let me scan really quick through this. It says, interestingly, there was a time not so very long ago, 2005 to be precise, that this view of Musk was held by sensible German men in suits who laughed at the idea of this jerk building automobiles. Well, it's because he didn't build Tesla. He bought his way into the CEO position and marginalized the original founders of Tesla. He did not build PayPal. He is not the creator of the goods that is SpaceX. People are putting him on a pedestal because he's the loudest marketing frontman there of the band. He's the richest one, so he's the one that is out there telling everybody. Many people on the boards of his companies would rather have him just kind of sit quietly back and let marketing do what marketing needs to do. It doesn't create fires when they tweet as much as the legal problems that are created when somebody says, I'm going to buy Twitter. Oh shit, I shouldn't buy Twitter. And in other places where he should have, never mind. Anyway, I'll leave that one alone. But anyway, there are geniuses behind him without the money that made Tesla, SpaceX, PayPal, but they're making 150,000, 250,000, maybe upwards of $1 million a year, while the quote unquote nutter is making billions on the billions. And let me remind everybody that Tesla and SpaceX almost imploded at the same time, if not for a NASA contract built off of the rocket scientists. That contract was founded on the work product that those rocket scientists could facilitate and the marketing that is Elon Musk, a dude that came into existence being able to pay with emeralds from his dad's mine. Don't get me started. I mean, you already did. This article did. I started it. Anyway, the industry's derisive skepticism reminds this author of 2007 when Apple launched the iPhone, and it was time when Nokia and BlackBerry ruled the world and the mobile marketplace was deemed mature. It is not the same. It is not close to being the same. Well, we know how that story played out. Nokia and Co failed. What? Nokia and Co failed to notice that Jobs had created was a powerful networked computer that fitted in your hand. All right. Okay. There's a different animal there. That is, Jobs was the front man. Again, there's a whole lot of engineers behind it. Sure, he had vision. but he didn't buy his way in. He demonstrably showed people that he had the chops for what he was doing, right? All we get from Elon publicly, at least, is he can talk a lot and commands a massive army. I'm sure I'll get a lot of pizzas on my doorstep if I poke the bear too much. Anyway, interesting thing is that with Tesla, history seems to have repeated itself. Now, anyway, let's see if there's something else in here where it isn't rubbing Elon Musk's nipples to pay homage to his greatness. That is probably the weirdest turn of phrase that might come back to haunt me. Anyway, nowhere in here does he apparently mention what he started the premise with, which is, so how come it forgot to include service centers? Well, if you actually do try and get your Tesla serviced, there really isn't a reason for it to be serviced. You get your brakes serviced, but you can get your brakes serviced by anybody. But if you scratch, dent, ding, whatever your car, it's wildly expensive. And when the battery fails, you're screwed. It's going to be quite a lot of money. So, but you can go to any service center to get your Tesla repaired, or you try and send it to Tesla and they will charge you umpteen amounts of money. So it says now it's undoubtedly the case that EVs require less routine maintenance than conventional automobiles. This is finally 12 paragraphs into it. This author finally gets to the point. EVs require less routine maintenance than conventional automobiles. With their volatile fluids, controlled explosions, and hot gases. This falls under John Naughton's fluff the article. Fluff the article. But cars, no matter how well made, still develop faults or malfunctions. And one of the problems with Teslas from the outset is that their build quality, fragile paintwork, or the way the body panels fit together, for example, that has nothing to do. I mean, one of the problems with Teslas, that's cars in general, fragile paintwork. All right. Has occasionally left something to be desired and certainly won't pass muster on a BMW production line. Oh, no. Ooh, wow. Shade being thrown. Tesla, are you going to take that? Two different price points, by the way. Tesla. Depending on the Tesla. The Model S seems to be pretty robust. Paint job and fitment, as far as I know. Model 3 is a general production vehicle starting at $35,000. Is there a BMW that starts at $35,000? Let's see. Well, I mean, the average price for a 2021 BMW X5 is 60,000. That's the low price, $60,000. I'm not sure. I don't know. How much are the cheapest BMWs? $36,000. The X1 S-Drive 28i crossover apparently is the least expensive BMW, followed by the 230i. So a general. Let me see. Let me look at this car. Yes, I'm doing it live. Well, I don't know. I don't think you could probably get this car for less than $42,000. But the MSRP says 36. So barely scratching, ironically, the surface of a Model 3. At any rate, maybe I'm just nitpicking. But I thought that I'd be able to buy into what this guy is saying, considering my m- my perspective in that the batteries are the most expensive thing on that car. I can almost guarantee it. The batteries are the most expensive thing on that car. The entire car doesn't add up to what the price of that battery is. Okay. So you try and replace that battery, it's going to be expensive. Let's see. So real quick, $7,000 is the higher end, but I that's 2 years ago, and I have no proof of that. But there's an article from January 26, 2022 from Current Automotive, a complete 75 kilowatt hour battery replacement for a Model 3. So it's not just the battery, but the swap of the battery is $17,000. That's January 26, 2022 article from, it says Current Automotive. So yeah, half the price of the car is the battery. So again, why not make it so that you can buy a $30,000 car, but you never own the battery, and you can swap them out at battery swap stations, like gas stations, but for electric cars. You have a crap ton of power funneled into a battery swap station, and all of the batteries are tested and checked and go back to Tesla for refurbishment, repair, whatever. It's a complete circle, and you minimize the impact of wasted batteries and cars dead on the side of the road, and you raise engagement of the population in this battery swap process, because every single Tesla, and if the EV automotive sector would buy into a standardized battery pack, all of their electronics can graft onto a standardized battery, because unless you're doing something extremely sensitive, power is power. So I could I could pull the battery out of any device that uses batteries and plug in a car, anything really, a massive battery, if the right interstitial components either step up the required power or step it down, right? That's what a transformer does. So why don't we make it so that we standardize around, let's say, 3 different size batteries, right? You've got the standard one for, uh, well, you have smaller ones for compact cars. You have mid-range batteries for mid-range cars. You have SUV batteries for SUV vehicles. If you need more than that, then it's a completely different animal. But if we standardize, then we can actually keep it reasonably priced and reasonably supported. John Naughton, come on, buddy. I think you're. I didn't read every little bit of this article because I can't. And I won't. I mean, it's just not the nature of my show. Go check it out. Follow the link. If you don't want to, don't. It's fine. It's fine with me. So this last article for today is in the Hitch Ideas channel. Like being in the military, embattled VFX artists push to unionize. This will always, this until employers realize that it's when they are taking home millions of dollars and treating people as if they're nothing more than tools in a toolbox. Guess who really is the tool to everybody that's employed by them? I'm not hero worshiping owners of businesses simply because they give people jobs, or me a job, or me as a contract. Just doesn't matter to me. The fact is, you as a business owner need the working class if you don't want to be part of the working class. Steering the ship is definitely a hard emotional and psychological job, right? but that's your baby that you're doing this with. You are the one that is growing this enterprise. If you put that much into it, where you are willing to drain every last drop of the people and not pay them enough for them to feel happy about it, the adage shouldn't be, well, they can go and get another job, I'll hire somebody else. That's not how it should be. It should be a team effort. But it's only a team effort as long as they're breaking their back for you. Visual effects are increasingly relied upon in the industry, entertainment industry, that is, with the explosion of content through streaming services. All right. But the people behind the work have reported poor working conditions, including long hours, without overtime, which that shit should be illegal right there. Low pay, yeah, when it's in comparison to the C-suite, yeah. Lack of benefits, that too should be illegal. And intense workloads and productivity demands. Learn to say no. But it's hard, right? Because saying no removes food from the table. And that's why there's an inequality, and that's why there's unions. Unions don't form because everybody has equity and inclusion in the process of their existence and employment. No, unions form because people have abused workers since the dawning of time. Literally, since the dawning of time. It's not like a union formed with what history says were slaves building some history says that they were slaves building the pyramids, and others are saying that it was artisans that were really there doing all of the work out of the kindness of their heart for building something for their gods. See, my camera just froze. Oh man, if my GPU's going out, I'm gonna scream. But that's where the glitch is. Anyway, I mean, this isn't the equation shouldn't be let me drain my worker so that I make millions. Screw you, got mine, bye bye, I'm out. I went and bought my island. Michael Sanato is the author of this article. Visual effects workers enduring long hours and low pay look to secure the same protections as film industry colleagues. Good. Do it. Form the union. Visual effects workers are currently pushing to unionize with the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, the IATSE, which currently represents over 150,000 workers in arts, media, and entertainment. Should be a whole lot more. Really, should be a whole lot more. There's no bargaining power between individuals and the employer, because the employer can say, screw you. Literally. Screw you. You don't like it here. Bye-bye. In the United States, it's even worse. They don't have to give in. Well, let me not say it that way. In the United States, they don't even have to give an opinion, a rationale. You're fired. Well, why? I don't have to tell you. Just get out. What? But why? You know, it's pissing me off that you're firing me. I don't care. Get out. Bye bye. I'm not sure how it is in the EU or the UK. Be curious if you are listening to this and you are from various areas of the world. How does employment treat their employers, right? How does employees get treated by their employers? Is there any place where, unless you are already financially well off, you can just give them the bird as an employee and still be employed? Probably not. Depending on which country you're in, you just might disappear. They explained during enduring extremely long hours of work to rush through production and delivery, including sleeping in the office while working 18-hour days consecutively alongside unionized workers who are paid overtime and higher wages. By the way, I just heard a CEO say that they do it out of passion for the job, for the project. That's why I do it. And I used to actually be in that mindset where I did stuff because it was something that I was really interested in doing, but I could never ask somebody else to do that if I was the owner of the business. I could never say to my team, and I can't say it now. Cannot say it to my team now. We're going to stay 12-hour work days. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. I tell my team to go. I'm going to stay and I'm going to work on this because I want it done so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. But I'm not going to sit there and ask you to come in and work 12-hour work days. You work your 9-to-5 gig, turn off, and enjoy life. Work-life balance matters to me. And they wonder why people are quiet quitting. You wonder why people are taking part in the Great Resignation. You wonder why unions are forming hand over fist. You wonder why people are getting pissed off at employers. It's because they're able to drive their Rivian into work and do a vasectomy when the power goes out in the business. But everybody else that was working there is wondering if power went out at the nursing home and they can't afford to pay for the battery backup for grandma or mom. There's an imbalance. And we are the ones that made it happen. We empowered this. Demand more from your employers. Seek equity, inclusion. Form a union. I don't know. At any rate, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by ohmTown.com and ohmTown Daily News Show. This has been the ohmTown Daily News Show. I am Mayor Watt. That is The Guardian, but that's ohmTown.com. Go check it out. I think you'll dig it. It's a bunch of news. None of the other tertiary stuff, right? That's all hidden inside. Like if you click on a link, you'll get taken to a snippet of the article and you can go and visit the source, come back, write a comment or two or whatever. Most of my traffic does not do that, by the way. And I'm about to remove that advertisement. It really doesn't do anything. It doesn't benefit me in any real way. I mean, it lowers the cost a little bit, but I'm putting it into ohmTown anyway, so I'd prefer you hang out, follow me. That little counter right there still isn't at 100. Been doing this for 9 months. Is it my sterling personality that is blinding you from hitting the follow button? You're listening to the podcast. The golden tones of my voice are either putting you to sleep, which is a bonus in and of itself, or it's captivating you and you're just listening and you're not hitting the follow button. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, maybe if I change the tone of my, oh, wait, I can do that. How about I do that?
How about I talk like this? I don't know if this is actually working, so I could be sounding like a village idiot right now. A different village idiot. One that is the demon.
All right, I'll turn it off. Okay, stay awesome. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.